Your question now is, have I made a mistake? And it could be for one of two reasons. One, why is it Kickstart 2 and not Kickstart 1 and 2, or just Kickstart 1? Why am I covering the second? Well, the first one never came out on the ZX Spectrum. And your other question is, why is it spelt like that? And that's because this isn't an official TV license, and I shouldn't even really be covering it. They didn't miss off the C. Not everyone who works for Mastertronic is dyslexic and made a real big balls up. They were just trying to avoid the low-flying legal eagles of the BBC's copyright abuse department, because they wanted to sneak out this game and hope everyone just thought it was a game based on Kickstart. So why am I covering it then, seeing as it's only inspired by the show and isn't actually a real Kickstart game? Well, because I'm looking to be ever so slightly readdressing the balance, because I've started to draw up my list of all the games that I've covered so far, and there's not that many good ones. And this, while it's not amazing, is okay. Plus it enables me to finish at episode 100. So you've got to appreciate both my moxie and my brigadoo and other old words that no one uses, and if they do use them, they use them incorrectly, like I might just have there. Can I be bothered to go to the thesaurus? Absolutely not. Kickstart originally aired in August 1979 and ran for about the average lifespan of a dog, ending in 1992, which clearly means that there were dogs that were watching Kickstart for their entire lives and must have wished they could go down a steep hill on a motorbike. Also, I'm really sorry about making you think of dying dogs. The now disgraced Dave Lee Travis presented the original run up to 1980, but he was replaced by Blue Peter presenter Peter Purves, who, unlike what his name sounds like, had zero convictions of sexual assault, unlike the other guy who didn't give us a clue in his name. For the uninitiated who didn't get to experience the most hummable theme tune in the history of the small screen, I'm sorry. You also missed a whole slew of motorcycles very slowly inching their way down hills, a bit like an 80-year-old lady braving the tundra to get her copy of the Daily Express in mid-January. They also did little funny hops on the motorbikes too, sort of like a pair of sentient testicles competing in a sports day hacky sack race. What, have I chosen testicles? I don't know. Still Peter Purves on my mind, I guess. It was all against the clock, and penalties were handed out for putting one's tootsies on the floor or knocking things over, because someone obviously had to come and tidy that up before the next urchin came along on their dirt bike and knocked them over as well. You can't let people get away with that kind of stuff, and so they deserve to lose. After Mastertronic found success with the first inspired by Kickstart on the Commodore 64 and Atari, they finally let us Spectrum gamers have a go, along with Amstrad and Amiga owners too, 2 years after the initial release in 1987. Look, Mastertronic, I know we couldn't show brown mud like the Commodore 64 could, but denying us our BBC show-themed dirt bike larks is just plain cruelty, frankly. Looking at it, you can probably see that it is a proto-trials if ever you saw one, with each obstacle requiring deft skill and techniques, with the accelerator and the brake to get through the numerous and myriad obstacles, which initially will be a confusing, frustrating struggle with each level until you figure out when and how to time each jump and wheelie. It's no BMX Flyer in terms of its approachability. I've done a video on that a couple of Christmases ago. Please go and look at that. But not right now. Rather than being up against the clock, you'll be against an adversary on the other screen who could well be another human with actual pubic hair, or it could be just your Spectrum, which doesn't have pubic hair, or at least it shouldn't. If yours does, they're yours, and I know what you've been doing. Along with the ramps and uneven terrain of the show, this game introduces pistons, springboards and even flamethrowers that I doubt that the BBC would allow to be showed, especially after that whole Noel Edmonds thing that happened. If you want to know about that, go and look it up. But woof, crikey. However, and I'm sure you'll agree here, it would certainly be a chunky insurance policy after that incident to then go and sort of besiege teenagers and adults in their early 20s with flamethrowers while they're riding around on a petrol-based motorbike, wouldn't it? So, how do you like longevity? Well, you can play it with the default 5 first courses as they are, and it will give you a little bit of play, I suppose. Or you can choose randomise the selection from the 24 courses from the menu screen, and you can play a random mix of 24 different courses. And if that doesn't excite you, then well, you are so in luck, because if you're a little bit handy with the tape deck, there's even a fairly easy, by Spectrum standards, course creator as well, where you can lay out your own course. Ooh, let's be creative, kids. Dirt bike tracks for everyone. I'm sure we can be happy with that. The graphics in this game are passable enough, pretty smooth if a little bit slow, and not massively affected by colour clash, so I haven't really got any complaints about how it looks. It's not bad for a split screen game. I think if Kickstart 2 was the only game of its type on the system, it would be a lot better remembered, but it is firmly in the shadow of ATV Simulator by Codemasters. It has the same addictive qualities as that title, but is a bit more janky, if anything. Some of the collision detection is a little bit off on certain obstacles, but unfortunately for me, it's that collision detection that has marred what otherwise would have been a very good experience. It is worth noting that it was launched as a £1.99 game. I suppose they saved the money on that licence, so I can appreciate that those games tend to get done and shipped out without much play testing, especially in the days of the Spectrum. They didn't really have play testers, people just sort of put games out. But it's a game that if they put a little bit more effort into clearing it up, it could have been really good, really fun, especially with that stage creator. But it wasn't to be, so it's not terrible, but it's a bit of a missed opportunity. Your Sinclair gave it a 7 out of 10 in their issue 28. They said it was a fun little motocross game, only marred by some eccentric collision detection. Sinclair user liked it a bit more, giving it an 8 out of 10, calling it graphically pleasing with a great atmosphere of just one more go. They reviewed it in their issue 72. Crash in their issue 50 said it was only the course designer that gives this game long-lasting appeal, as they gave it a 77%. Their score was sort of inflated by their reviewer Mike absolutely loving it. They used to do like a sort of average score of everyone in the office who played it, and he like whacked it up to 92. And you know what, Mike, you do you, Sonny Jim. If you enjoyed this game, good stuff. I bet he hasn't played it since then, though. I can't imagine Mike breaking out the Spectrum and putting on Kickstart 2 anymore. But then I can't imagine Mike, I don't even know who Mike is at this point, playing Disney games either. But that is what we're going to be doing in the next episode, as we go into episode 96 with a pair of adventures from Donald Duck and his good mate, Mickey Mouse. Like, subscribe, and Kay, thanks, bye.